Welcome back to my channel Lomzy Sews. In today's sewing tutorial, I'm going to show you how to cut and sew this A-line dress with built-up collar. It's going to be a two-part tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you the pattern drafting tutorial on how to cut this. In the next video, I'll show you how to sew it. I'll be using 2 yards of satin fabric. You can also use crepe or damask fabric for this. I have 2 yards and I'm using satin. I'm also going to use lining for this. I'm using a cotton lining for this. I also have 2 yards. Also, I'm going to use an interfacing for this. I have hairstay for this. You can use any type of interfacing of your choice, but I'm using hairstay for this. The measurements I'll be using for this is bust 34 inches, waist 27, hips 40, and dress length 38 inches. I'll start by squaring out a line. This line is the line I'll be taking down all my vertical measurements from. So you can decide to make it 1 inch or ½ inch. But because of this tutorial, I'm going to be making it 1 inch. So I'll go ahead and square it out. From that line, I will take my armhole length. The armhole length I'm using is 9 inches. And the bust point I'm using is 11 inches. I'll mark it. On the bust line is 13 and the waistline is 17.5 inches. I'll go ahead and square out these lines. So this is the armhole, the bust point, the under bust line, the waistline. To take my hips measurement, I'm going to start from the waistline down to the hips, which is 8 inches, and then the length of the dress from waist to length of dress. I want it to be 22, but this is not up to 22. So I'll just go ahead and leave it like that. Don't worry about the pencil. I'll go ahead and use my marker to make all these lines visible. The main lines that I like to use are the lines I'm making visible, which are the shoulder line, the armhole line, the waistline, and the hip line. Next is to mark the circumference of the bodies. So on the armhole line, I'm going to mark bust divided by 4 plus 1.5. 34 inches divided by 4 plus 1.5 will give me 10 inches. On the waistline, I'm going to mark waist divided by 4 plus 2.5. 27 divided by 4 plus 2.5 will give me 9.25. On the hip line, hips divided by 4 plus 1 inch, which is 40 divided by 4 plus 1, which will give me 11 inches. Whatever I have on the hip line, I'm going to add 2 inches flay to that, which will make it 13 inches. I'll mark it and connect all these lines. At the hemline, I'm going to come up 2 inches to make a curve so that the flare, the A-line would relax properly. After marking this circumference of the dress, next I'm going to go over to the shoulder, the neckline, and all that. So next I'm going to mark the shoulder line. The shoulder divided by 2, which is 7.5 inches. I'll mark it here. I'm going to square that down to the armhole line, also drop 7.5 inches here and connect that line. Next, I'm going to mark the shoulder slope. So from the shoulder line, I'm going to come down 1.5 inches for shoulder slope. And then on the neckline, I'm going to make neck width of 2.75, and I'm going to connect these two lines like this. I'm working on the front, so next I'm going to get the midpoint of the armhole and mark it here and come in ½ inch. We're going to leave this. I'm going to come back to it. So we're going to mark for the dart. After marking the dart, we'll come back to that place. I'm going to divide the nipple to nipple measurements into 2 whatever you have, that's what you're going to input here. So the bust span I'm using is 8 inches divided by 2 will give me 4, and that is what I'm marking here. And that length I'm using from the waistline is 6 inches. I'll go ahead and connect all these lines. So next I'm going to mark for the dart. For me to mark the dart towards the center, I'm going to mark 1 inch, and towards the side seam I'm going to mark 1.5 inches. I'll repeat the same thing on the under bust line. So here 1.5 inches and here 1 inch. I'll go ahead and connect these lines. From the waistline I'm going to join it to the dart length. Also the same thing on the other side, join it to the dart length and connect straight from waistline to under bust, as you can see me do. This dress has a princess dart line, so I'm going to mark a princess dart line here. From that midpoint that we marked earlier on, I'm going to connect this to the bust span line. So connect that straight and in a curved manner like this. We are going to make a dart on this line. So first of all, I'm going to mark 1/2 inch on both sides of the darts, and then I'm going to connect the armhole curve to the 1/2 inch I came in here. I'm doing this just to the front, the back is not the same thing. So this is where the curve, the armhole curve from the front is. I'll go ahead and connect the dart leg. I'll do the same thing to the other side. I'll go ahead and connect the dart. So watch how I'm going to connect the dart for this one, leaving like 1/2 inch there. So this is how I'm going to connect this. I'll go ahead and connect this to the under bust line. Make sure you don't have a sharp corner there. So I'm going to make sure the dart leg is equal. Whatever I have here, I'm going to make sure is the same thing on the other side. So whatever the shortage is, make sure you increase it by that. So this would be the new armhole line. I'll go ahead and connect the curve like this. Next is the neckline. The neckline is a standing neckline, so pay attention. For the neckline, I'm going to make it 4 inches. You can make yours to be 5 inches. And from that line, I'm going to go up for the standing neckline to be 1 inch. From here, I'm going to connect this to the shoulder line. So watch the way I'm connecting, making the curve to join the shoulder and the neckline. Like I said, you can make your neck width to be 5 inches. If the neck width is too tight for you, you can make it to be 5 inches. So we are going to make a dart here. I'm going to square out a line. This line I'm going to be making dart on the neckline. I'm going to make dart length of 7 inches from the beginning, as you can see. So make that 7 inches. And then I make a neck curve like this to meet the original shoulder line, as you can see. So here I'm going to make 1 inch dart, which is 1/2 inch on both sides. We are taking total of 1 inch dart on that neckline. So go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to through the dart leg, so measure whichever one you want and make them equal. If you want the long one, make the other one as long as the other one. If you want the short one, make the other one the same thing. All you're trying to make is make sure the dart leg are equal. So I've chosen the longer one and I have connected the neck curve like this. With this, the front pattern is ready. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out, and we're going to go over to the back pattern. For the back, I'm going to mark out the measure lines, the shoulder line, the armhole, the waistline, and the hip line. On the armhole line, I'm going to divide bust divided by 4 plus ½ inch for ease. This is for the back. Bust divided by 4 plus ½ inch for ease. I'll mark that here, which is 9 inches. And on the waistline, I'm going to divide waist divided by 4 plus 1 inch for that. So I have 7.75. I'm going to connect this line like this. On the hip line, I'm going to divide hips divided by 4 plus 1 inch ease. On the hem line, I'm going to add 2 inches flare to that. I'll go ahead and connect all these lines. Next, I'll go over to the shoulder and the neckline. For the shoulder width, shoulder divided by 2, which is 7.5, I'll mark it here. I'll go ahead and connect that to the armhole line. And then I'm going to make a shoulder slope of 1.5 inches. So come down here 1.5 inches. For the neckline, I'm going to mark 2.75 first and connect this to the shoulder line like this. Next, on that line, I'm going to make the armhole curve. So go ahead and connect the armhole curve like this. And then I'm going to make the neck width of 4 inches, come up by 1 inch for the standing collar, and connect this in a curved manner just like I did for the front. For the neck depth, I'll leave it like that. Next is the dart. I'm going to mark 4 inches for bust span, come down by 5.5 inches for dart length. Then I'll square out this line. This line will be where I'll be making the dart for the back. I'll make 1 inch darts, ½ inch on both sides, and I'm going to connect them like this. This tutorial is going to be a 2-part tutorial. So today is the pattern drafting tutorial. In the next video, we are going to be sewing it. So at the back, I'm going to contour the back area. I'm going to come in here ½ inch. This is for you not to have a bulge at the back, the zipper side. And then also at the neckline, I'll come in ½ inch so that the back neckline will not gape. So I'll go ahead and connect these 2 lines. And then the pattern drafting is ready. I'll go ahead and cut this out so that we'll have both the back pattern and the front pattern ready. Like I said, this tutorial is going to be a 2-part tutorial. Today is the pattern drafting tutorial. I will drop the link of the sewing tutorial after the video goes live. So guys, we have come to the end of today's sewing tutorial. Make sure to give this video a like if you learned any new thing. If you didn't learn any new things, still let me know in the comment section. If this is your first time coming across my channel, remember to subscribe and turn on your notification bell icon so that you will not be missing any of my sewing tutorial. So guys, with these are my patterns. I'll go ahead and label them and get them ready for the next tutorial. Yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.